Hi, thanks for joining me today. My name is Caitlin and I'm the chair for the beading competition for Skills Saskatchewan, and today we're going to show you a few techniques on how to use the supplies that you got in your kits. So in your kits you should have got some thread, both white and black, needles, beads, some felt to bead on, as well as a phone grip that will look like this. I'm going to show you how to start off with just a bead and no gems or stones in the middle. I'm using a size 6 bead, which is much bigger, just so that you can see. So thread your needle, go through anywhere in your felt but close to the middle. Take your first bead, go through, and put the needle down about the width of your bead away. When you pull it through, it will be attached. Just to secure it, push it through one more time. Oops. Through the bead and back down the other side. So once you have that secure, put your needle up through on the side of the bead, does not matter where, and pick up the beads that will go around. So for this example, I'm using really thick black beads just for contrast. Pick up 5. You can measure how many beads you need by fitting them around the first bead. Put your needle down to where the first bead starts, and when you pull it all the way through, your beads will be sitting loosely around your middle bead. Pull it as tight as you can. Go up between 2 beads, in between those 2 black beads, and when you put your needle down, make sure it's on the other side of the thread, as close to that pink bead as possible, and pull tight, securing those 2 beads. Move to the next bead, put it between the next 2 beads, over the thread, as close to the pink as possible, pull through and secure those beads. Keep working your way around those first beads. Next, I'm going to show you a 2 needle method. So I threaded 1 needle. In this instance, I've secured a stone into the middle instead of starting with 1 bead. Many of you may wish to do that. A stone, a button, anything, you can glue it down or sew it down. I came up just anywhere around, right as tight as I could beside the stone. And in this case, I'm going to use some size 11 hot pink seed beads. I'm just gonna pick up a few to show you. So I have about 10 beads there. I'll put them all the way down to the bottom of the string and hold them tight. Oops. Actually, I'll go this way here. Hold them tight against the stone. Then you pick up your second threaded needle, and we do the same as we did before. We'll go up between the first 2 beads, pull all the way through, over the thread as close to that stone as possible, and when you pull it tight, you will secure those 2 beads. Move to the next 2 beads. Move to the next 2 beads. So the beads are always threaded on this first string, and a second string and second needle is securing them to the felt. So I think that is where I will cut that for now, but I'm going to just quickly finish this row if you don't mind, and then I'll show them how you would start a second row. When you get your first ring done around your stone, All you need to do to start your next ring is come up again at any point close to where you finished off, pick up more beads, bring them down once again to the end of your thread, line them up. Don't worry about the gap, that'll get covered at the beads when you're all done. And once again, just go in between each bead, up through, over the thread as close to that previous row. Hold tight and secure the beads. In between the next two beads, pull through, over the thread, and tight. Eventually, you'll get all the rows big enough to finish your pop socket. Hold this part secure with your thumb. Pick up your second needle. In between two beads, pull through, over the thread as close to the first row as possible. Hold tight. Between two beads, over the thread as close to the first row as possible. Pull through, securing that row bit by bit as you go around. When you're ready to finish a row, you have enough beads lined up. Take your first needle, go through that first bead, even first two beads, and pull through, and that way you will complete your circle. Ready to start yet another row. First needle at this point is on the top of your felt. Put it through at any point just so that it can come back up tight to that last row, and you can start all over again. When you get your pop socket to the size that you want and you're ready to do some edging, glue it down to a piece of hide, a piece of leather, another piece of felt, just so you have some backing before you start your edging. There's a couple types of edging, and this one I'm going to show you is a peacoat edging. So here's an example of one done all in clear beads. You can't see the detail as much. Two lay down, one pops up. Lay down, pop up, lay down, pop up. This is done all in clear. This is done with clear and turquoise. The clear lay down, the blue pop up, clear lay down, blue pop up, and that's that effect. This one is done with pink and clear beads, where the pink lie down and the clear pop up. So those are three different looks that you can achieve with a peacoat edging. I'm going to show you how to do this technique by finishing this sister earring right here. Thread your needle. In this instance, I have backed it with a piece of white deer hide. I knotted my thread, and I'm going to go between the two pieces just to hide my knot. So pull it all the way through. So take your needle, go through both pieces. I'm going through the hide and the felt to start. So you want to start on the top side. In this case, the pink beads lie flat, so I'm going to start with the pink bead. For your very first stitch, you start with 3 beads. So I'm going to do 1 pink, 1 clear, and 1 pink. Pull them all the way to the bottom. With your needle, go approximately 2 bead widths up. Come up through both the hide and the felt again. This case it looks a little wonky. You flip over, put your needle underneath. You're going to go through the pink bead and that last pink bead only. And when you pull it through, that clear one is going to pop up. So you start with 3 in the beginning. From here on, you only use 2 at a time. Because we ended with pink, I'm going to pick up a clear bead, then a pink bead, pull to the bottom. In this case, I'm going to go about 1 bead width apart, come up through both layers, pull all the way through, and come up underneath this pink bead and the pink bead only. That's what causes it to lie flat while the clear bead pops up. Go through both. Through. Come up through the last bead. Another option for edging your phone grip is to do a wraparound. So this is an example of a wraparound edge. The beads lie flat and are just lined up kind of in single file around the edge of the piece. So you can see the difference. In these ones you have a bead laying flat, you have beads sticking up. These ones just lay completely around. It's a bit more subtle, especially when it's done in an opaque color. So for this, I'm going to edge this earring. So again, I make sure that you have enough thread on your needle to go all the way around if possible. The less time you spend finishing and starting your thread, the stronger the integrity of your piece will be. So again, I'm just going to hide the knot between the 2 pieces, between the deer hide and the felt, just to get started. And I come back up so that I start on the top of the piece. In this case, I'm just going to do 1 bead at a time. I pick it up, put it to the end, go about a little less than a bead length away. And this time I'm going to take my needle and go right through the bead. I'm going to pick up another bead, come through both pieces of fabric, take my needle, go through that second bead. So they start to line up. It's hard to see with 2 beads, but a little bit less than a bead's width through, away from your bead. Pull all the way through and come in from behind the bead. Get the bead. Make sure you're always going through both layers, the felt and the hide. Pull it through the back of the bead. These are a size 11 seed bead. The bigger the number, the bigger the bead. If you want to go buy beads, then of course the bigger the bead, the easier it is to see what you're doing. wrap around, much like on this feather wrapped around. The last edging I'm going to show you is a bead stack. Bead stack, you could go 1, 2, 3 beads stacked up, but this one will do 1. It's like the picot, only instead of one popping up, you will only have beads lying flat. So where the picot started with 3 beads, the bead stack will start with 2. So good length of thread, knotted, hide your knot between your backing and your felt. Come up through both pieces so that you start on the top. Pick up 2 beads. Go 1 bead width apart. Come up through both. In this case, take your needle and come through the back of the second bead. When you pull it through, that will cause it to lay flat. From then on, you only pick up 1 bead. Go a bead's width in front. And you come through the back of that last bead. Pull through and it will lay flat. Tight, and it lays on its, from top to bottom, it'll lay flat all the way around. When you thread your needle, always make sure you have lots of thread, even maybe more than you think you'll need. Because starting and stopping your thread, making more knots, takes away from the integrity of the piece's structure. So if you can do all of the edging on one piece of thread, that's best. So there's one more bead that needs to go on here. Pick it up, put it through both, up through the back, as always. And now to secure where I started and where I finished, I'll take my piece, flip it over, take my needle that is coming up my last bead, and I'll put it down through the top of the first bead I put on and out through the back of the hide, so that when I pull that through, the first and the last bead are secured together and you cannot tell where it started and where it ended. And then if you're turning, in this case I'm turning this into an earring, I will knot it where I'll put the post. If you're doing this for your phone grip, it won't matter where you put your knot because it'll be glued down to the phone grip. So as you come close to finishing your picot edge, you've gone all the way around. See, I'm ending here with a pink bead, but I also started with a pink bead. So the only one missing is a clear bead. So I'll pick it up all the way to the bottom of the thread. And I'll take my needle and come through the top of that first bead to the top of the pink and go all the way to the back. When you pull it tight, that clear bead will pop up, and as you pull it quite tight, it'll finish off that extra space and make a seamless pattern. You can knot off on the back, but your clear beads all pop up and the pink all lay flat. Thanks again for joining us today. Hope you learned some new techniques, picked up a few tips. If you'd like, please leave a picture of your finished product in the comments below.